All right, we are live.
Cool.
All right, welcome, Daylight Burners. I'm here with Forrest Van Tile of An American Forrest, and we're gonna talk a little music, talk a little cowboying, and shoot the shit. You know how it goes by now. So, welcome, Forrest.
Howdy. I was just making my Instagram post telling the whole world that I'm going live.
Perfect.
Yeah,
we are coming off a successful show at the CG Bar here in Smith Valley, Nevada. Kind of had a little bit of a packed house. Pretty good turnout for a Tuesday evening.
I thought so.
Yeah, you guys brought the house down, and it was a good show. Good time all the way around. I did a little stand up. Did not piss myself, so that was a good thing. But yeah, it was a good show. Thank you guys for swinging by. It was fun.
Yeah, we had a ton of fun. It's the best show I've ever had in Smith Valley.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It was the best one I saw all day. So yeah, it was cool. I told these guys, all my listeners, I met you through Jake Houston, who has been on the show a couple times, and he introduced me to your music. We met there at Elko, and here we are. Now you played Smith Valley. You've had my biscuits and gravy, and now you're on the podcast. So
yeah, doing it all.
Yeah, just a roundabout way. We got her done. So
we took the long way to get here too.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Met in Elko, and now you're here via Texas and Arizona and California. So
yeah, it's sort of a roundabout way to do it, but it's what we did.
Yeah. So you guys have been on tour for what, like a month and a half, something like that?
A little over a month, I guess, depending on how you count it. With this crew, we started kind of the end of January. Our first shows were in Elko.
Okay, cool.
But before that, me and Margot were doing a tour of both of our stuff in the UK for about a week.
Cool. How did you end up in the UK, I guess? Do you know people from there, or?
Yeah, so Margot, who plays bass for me and is also a songwriter, she's got a band from the UK that she met in New York like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And they've been touring together in Europe and the UK.
Cool.
On and off for the last 5 years. And last winter, they came out and did a full band tour with Margot and me. Basically the same route.
Nice.
For like 6 weeks.
Cool.
So yeah, they're old road dog buddies of ours.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys are just living the true troubadour lifestyle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool. How many couches have you crashed on in the last month?
In the last month? Well, how many shows have we had?
So every show, basically.
Yeah, more or less. You know, we get lucky. A lot of folks have like guest rooms or stuff like that. But yeah, we've got our bedrolls, and it seems like somebody's sleeping on the floor every night.
Well, we tried to make sure nobody slept on the floor last night, so we got plenty of room, but it's house is kind of a wreck because kids.
That'll happen. It looks kind of like our van. If you just blew our van up to house size,
pretty well, yeah.
About what it looks like.
Yeah. I imagine it's about like wrangling kids too. When
they're right there,
bunch of degenerates. No, it was cool getting to hang out with y'all, and we'd talked before. Playing in a small town, you may not get a huge crowd, but you get a very appreciative crowd because we don't get a whole lot of live music other than like the school Christmas concert or something like that. And every now and then you'll get one, but I think we'll have to do it again. Try to schedule a weekend show, and I think we can really get a lot of people out.
Yeah, man, that'd be a ton of fun.
Yeah. It was cool, but like I said, you guys played your asses off, and I think it went over well. I hadn't heard a single bad comment on it yet. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So so you guys are playing in Tahoe tonight.
Yeah.
Virginia City tomorrow.
Virginia City with Jake Houston. Tomorrow night. Yeah.
And the Royal Flush. Is the Royal Flush going to be there?
Yeah, the Royal Flush is going to be there. Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, and Margot's playing that show too. So
nice.
It's a hell of a 3-band bill. Two of my favorite songwriters in the world on that bill.
There you go. My fundage just kind of ran dry. Otherwise, I would have paid Margot to play a solo show too. But next time, Margot, if she's in here, next time. Now, what kind of does she play a similar style of music to your stuff? Or
yeah, kind of. You know, kind of. Just singer songwriter, country folk kind of stuff.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a lot like my music, but better and with less horses.
Well, better's. I haven't heard it, so I won't make that judgment call.
That's good.
If she asks, I will say it's definitely better because I know how to keep the ladies happy. You just agree.
You do.
You agree.
You're gonna have to share all your secrets with
me. It's a whole lot of yes, dear. But yeah. So how did you? I guess let's rewind a little bit. You're from Washington originally.
Yeah, I grew up in. Don't tell anybody, but Western Washington.
Western Washington. Yeah. So
it's funny though. It's, you say Western Washington, people think you're from Seattle or Olympia or whatever. And there's a lot of Western Washington that is vehemently not from Seattle or Olympia. And I'm from that part.
I see it. You're kind of mirror image of, when you tell somebody you're from Colorado, they're like, oh, Denver and Aspen. I'm like 3 hours from the mountains, and we're not Kansas, even though we look a lot like Kansas. We are not Kansas. We're Colorado. You get a very, very much proud Coloradan that is very much not from the part of Colorado that everybody thinks of. And so it's I think most Western states are like that. Like if you're from Arizona, everybody thinks Phoenix or Tucson, but there's a whole lot of Arizona that is not Phoenix or Tucson. And the same way with Oregon and
we get the same thing now. We're from far eastern Oregon, basically. Like, we can see Idaho from where we're at, and we tell people that, and especially out on the road, people just assume, oh, you're in a band, you're from Portland. Like, a few of the guys are from Portland, but where we live, it's like as far from Portland as you can get, basically. Yeah.
And that's, and of course, if, I guess on the cowboy scene, there's a lot of good cowboys that come out of Oregon. I've never been up there, but I've met a lot of people from Oregon here the last couple of years. And, there's a whole lot to the West that I didn't realize was out here. And, I grew up in the West, but, there's still a lot that I haven't seen. There's a lot of Nevada that I didn't know about. Now, one thing about Nevadans are very proud to be Nevadan. They're like not quite on Texan level, but they're pretty close. Like they are very proud of Nevada. My wife could give you a tour of the entire state and do a very good job of tour guide. Like she knows her shit. And I found out that Nevadans are very proud of being Nevadans.
That's a thing that we've kind of noticed playing music in the state too, is like, well, it is similar to Texas in this way too, that people in Nevada don't mind shelling out for music. They don't take it for granted. Like both me and Margot have really come to love Reno as a music town, and as far as anybody else is concerned, it's not a music town. But for us, it just took us in, and they're like, wow, you guys play music we like, you guys like coming here, here's gigs. And that's kind of how we got connected with Jake Houston.
Well, it's weird because Reno's like the redheaded stepchild of Nevada, because Vegas gets all the that's another one. Like say you're from Nevada, people are like, oh, so Vegas, huh? No, we're 6 hours from Vegas, and everywhere that is not Vegas hates Vegas. So it's very much, it's like I said, I think every Western state has people like that. Just, they're like, no, fuck no, I'm not from where those yuppies are or whatever. And when you think Washington and Oregon, that's really the first thing is yuppies and hippies is kind of what comes to mind. Seattle, Portland, but they're big states, so there's a lot of different people out there. And
there's a lot of Washington. I lived in Eastern Washington when I went to college. So from the time I was like 18 until early 20s, kind of. And like, there's a lot of cool people out there. It's not like a cowboy part of the world like Eastern Oregon is, but there's just a lot of like wheat farmers and like big ag stuff going on.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool part of the world.
Good people. You know, typically if you're going to a rural area, you know, they get a bad name, you know, like, you know, bunch of racist hicks out in the sticks. But people that work the land, work animals for a living, they're really some of the most genuine people you ever meet. They're very generous. They're very welcoming for the most part. Can be a little suspicious of outsiders, but you get to know them. They'll help you out with whatever you need. They'll open their home. That's kind of how I grew up. That's how I try to live my life now, and it works out good. I think it's just, you know, you never know when you meet somebody, do a good deed for them, when you'll meet them down the road and you might need something and they're there to help. It's kind of the thing I always keep in the back of my mind is like, if I don't help this guy, I may be broke down and that guy would just keep on cruising. And so I don't know. It's just it's very, very neighborly type of people that you meet out.
Mighty neighborly.
So you started playing music here like professionally how long ago?
Well, definition of professional can be very loose when you're talking about musicians. That's and me true. Especially. I mean, I started doing it seriously about 10 years ago.
Okay.
So that would be when I was like 20, and that was in different like rock bands and stuff. But that was when I started like writing a lot of my own material, kind of leading a band, making all my own records, putting on shows. We didn't tour. We did like a few like regional weekend runs, but kind of figured out how everything works. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, I kind of started doing seriously my solo project, which is An American Forrest. So yeah, I've been on this program for about 5 years now.
Cool. Yeah. Now, how did you come up with An American Forrest? I just go back to your lumberjack career.
No, it's just my last name is impossible to pronounce.
There you go.
So I figured I should stop using that. And I spent like 6 months living in Europe, just kind of bumming around. Spent a lot of time in France and a lot of time in like Bulgaria and sort of off the beaten track kind of places. And I just started being referred to as like the American guy because I wasn't hanging out with other Americans at all for like quite a few months there. So I guess that kind of played into it too. There's this Mark Twain quote he says, "I'm not an American, I am the American." I was like, well, he's already got it covered, so I guess I'm an American.
That's funny. Yeah. Mark Twain, he was a national treasure.
Yeah, man. Virginia City guy too.
Yeah. There's a I think it's called the 4th or 5th Ward School. It's a museum there, and they've got a whole like Mark Twain exhibit that we've got a whole bunch of his quotes, and I guess he's kind of considered like the original stand-up comedian. And I don't think people knew how to take him back in the day because he was kind of a troll before trolls were a thing too. You know, he had just like some just really quirky off the wall comments and people didn't know how to take him, but you can't help but laugh at some of his stuff because it's true. But like he was kind of a strange fellow, but he was like, well, he was one of a kind. So how was living in Europe? Like how different is it than the States?
I don't know. I mean, it's different for sure. It's not crazy different. And the way I was doing it too, I was just like had a guitar and a backpack. So I was just drifting, and that lifestyle is definitely easier there. Oh, I bet. It seems like, there's really good public transportation. There's really cheap wine and groceries, just like the quality of like basic stuff, like the bottom tier food, booze, transportation, whatever is like miles ahead of our bottom tier, you know?
Okay.
So it's just like, you can have very little money and just kind of be scraping by, and life's still pretty good.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of what I took away from it. And like, you know, not to light any political fires under anybody's ass, but when we were there this winter, Margot got sick with a really nasty sinus infection while we were in Belgium. And the family we were staying with called their family doctor. He said, yeah, show up after my lunch break. We walked 3 doors down. He took a look at her, wrote a prescription for antibiotics, and charged her €4. And we walked out.
Huh.
And I was like, damn, this is all right.
That's crazy. And the whole healthcare deal is like, I don't understand it a whole lot. I know it doesn't have to be that expensive. But
yep.
The part that I don't agree with is letting the government take care of it, because when have they ever done anything well besides waging war and collecting taxes? That's about the only thing they do well.
Yeah, well, arguably on either of those fronts too.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
That's where I kind of like, on the libertarian side of things, I think everybody should be able to afford healthcare. I think everybody should be able to have it. I stop short of saying it's a human right, because I don't think you have the right to anybody's expertise, labor, all that. But I think we could do better. I don't know what the solution is to it, but probably to get the government out of it would be a better scenario. But we're not here to talk politics. So
oh, come on.
I mean, we can. I've been known to do it a lot, but no, I'm always been curious about how other people do things, like how it compares to us. What do we do better? What can we improve on? And you know, it's just one of those. It's cool to hear different points of view, different backgrounds, all that. And so I guess you grew up, we were talking last night, in a pretty rural area, but not necessarily a cowboy area. You're saying like people had horses, people had cows, but very few people used horses for their cows.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I've been around areas like that. You know, out on the high plains, you don't have a whole lot of public ground or grazing allotments like you do out west. It's all very fenced in. Your big pasture out there is going to be maybe 1,000 acres, maybe. And a big outfit's going to run, 10,000 acres, but it's all, for the most part, privately owned. You have a few government leases here and there, but for the most part, it's all private land, and most people farm as well as ranch. So a lot of grain crops, and so therefore you see a lot of people at cowboy, but a lot of people also use a 4-wheeler. Just about everybody runs cattle to supplement the farming side of thing, but not a whole lot of cowboy outfits, I guess. There's plenty, I guess, but there's probably just as many people that run cows and use 4-wheeler and a calf table and shit like that. So it's kind of a different style, but it's all the same stuff, but just a little different way of getting there, I guess. So how did you get into to cowboy and not growing up in it?
Well, I guess coming back from Europe, I got home and I was just kind of like, I just realized that after having been there, and I spent like a month working on this sheep farm in the Alps, like a sheep dairy, which was super cool. But it's like, there's just like, the Alps are these incredible peaks and this incredible scenery. And then you start hiking around and it's like, there's like a ski lift right over here, you know? And just kind of the whole field made me realize that like the unique thing about our country is our like open space, and to an extent like public lands, and just like the open West. And coming home from that, with that in mind, I started reading Cormac McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses.
Oh, okay.
And that's when it all kind of clicked. I was like, dude, I got to get horseback.
Yeah.
So I did. I kind of just started asking everybody I knew, you know, who had horses, how I could get into it. And finally found this ranch in Wallowa County, like a pack outfit that was also, you know, they run a few cows and they have a bunch of young horses they're training. The guy used to be like a clinician.
Okay.
So they kind of took me on as an apprentice. And within like a month or two, I was making a little bit of money and living on the ranch, and just like, you know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And they just throw me on green horses and let me fall off as many times as I wanted to.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I remember growing up, I was telling you last night, I didn't sit a good broke horse until, I guess like the first couple times I rode just like old, we called them pilgrim horses, and rode a couple of those. And then I think it was 12 or 13 is when my dad threw me on colts. And from there till I was about like 19 or 20, and I just rode piss heads, like, you know, 60 days up or 60 rides or less. And that's all I rode. I got nothing accomplished every time we went to move cattle because I was tuning on a horse. And so like I wasn't much of a hand. I guess I was a decent hand with a horse because I had to be, but like I wasn't any sort of hand with cattle because I was always in the wrong spot because I was on just a piss head horse.
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing. The horse doesn't know what they're doing.
No, and I don't even know. I didn't know enough to try to point them in the right direction to get in a halfway decent spot. But and then I was helping a buddy of mine move some cattle, and they put me on one of their old ranch horses, and I was like, oh, well, this moving cows is a lot easier when you got a horse that knows what you're doing.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
And so then I got in the feedlot, and well, you can learn a lot about cattle handling in a very short amount of time just by the sheer volume of cattle, and because you're just constantly, and it's kind of a lot of times it's a go type deal because you got a lot of shit to get done. So, but you still got to work cattle quietly and smoothly, and slower is always faster. So you pick up a lot of tricks in a short amount of time. And you learn real quick when somebody knows how to read an animal or not, because there's some people just they have the will, they have the want to, they just don't have the ability to think ahead or to be able to react, you know, because you always kind of want to be one step ahead of your cattle. So when they think about turning back, you're already there. And so when they look back, they see you and because if they're looking and you're trying to get to the spot to where they're wanting to go, you're already beat. They're going to beat you. So you're always trying to want to, you know, be ahead of them. And there's just people that just never understand that, and it shows real quick because those old cows will find the weak link real quick. You get a bunch moving. It's always at a gate too. You know, got the whole bunch there, and they're just milling around trying to find the hole, and you'll see one old cow pick her head up, look around, and she'll spot the weak link. And by the time, you know, if you're not already moving when she's picked her head up, she's got you beat because she's looking for a way out. Yeah. But if you can be on the move as they're picking their head up, you can just bump them right back into the herd, and it makes your job easier. But they will always find that weak link. I've hired and fired enough people over the years that it's without fail they will find the person that can't read cattle. Yeah. And so it's I don't know, it's a weird way of life. So I guess considering today's culture and whatnot, you know, it just takes a different type of person to want to be horseback and working with cattle. But I always say that, you know, the cattle don't talk back to you, and if, you know, you get in a bind, you can kind of rub some dirt in their eye or something, and nobody's really gonna throw too much of a fit about it. But you can't really do that with people. Lawsuits and shit. Yeah. So this pack outfit, we're kind of covered a little bit last night, but you just you're packing for whoever wants stuff taken out into the wilderness.
Yeah, we're just like FedEx in the backcountry.
There you go.
Yep.
So you're taking like a string of pack horses, and so you got to know your knots, you got to know load placement, and everything's got to be balanced, I'm sure.
You got to be able to throw an 80-pound load in a foot of snow in the dark.
Yeah.
And have it not fall off.
So how are the clientele that you're packing for?
Oh boy. Yeah, there's some really awesome folks.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, and like anything, there's good folks that want to do it, and really annoying folks where you want to drop them off at their camp and never come back for them.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's kind of the same way.
Yeah, we kind of get over. I'm starting to kind of get over some of the hunters. You know, you just hear the same things over and over. You know, like we're not really a guide service. I'm sure as hell not a guide.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just there to like work with horses.
Yeah.
And they're asking me where all the elk are. It's like, shit, if you want to buy a guided hunt, buy a guided hunt.
Yeah, no kidding.
You're the hunter.
Yeah.
I'm just a doofus on a horse.
Yeah, you're the one supposed to be finding that.
Yeah. Just, you know, that. And then the natural progression of that is, you know, there's no elk in this country.
Yeah.
It's like we're riding in to pick up somebody who hasn't seen any elk in this country, and we ride past hundreds of elk.
Well,
it's like the same story every time, you know.
Well, put your whiskey in a flask and go scouting. You'll find something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, you know, I know a lot of hunters that actually go to hunt. Like my father-in-law is a big time hunter, and he you know, he makes his camp, but he's out glassing all the time.
Yeah,
he's on, you know, stalking. But then I know people they set up camp, and the only time they leave camp is to go back to town to get more booze. And and you know, they might take a pot shot at a cow elk, you know, 100 yards from camp or something. But why spend the money on the tag? Why don't you just pitch your camp and you have the same effect, and you don't even have to worry about spending, you know, here in Nevada, if you're out of state, it's $1,200 for an elk tag. So.
Yeah, it's not cheap. The amount of money we see people just like, you know, buying the new toys for hunting or whatever. Yeah. But you know, there's also the guys like this father-son team that goes bow hunting in like some of the roughest terrain we've got every year, and almost every year they take something out. Yeah. And they are like, we drop them at their base camp with like, you know, 2 mules worth of stuff, which is not a lot of stuff for 2 guys for like a week or 2. And they're like hardly ever in camp. You know, that's their base. And they take like a bunch of dried meals and they go bivvy out, and they bivvy out, and they cover just miles and miles a day. And that's why they're successful. You know, I don't know a ton about hunting, but I know who doesn't complain that they haven't seen elk, and that's the guys who are covering a lot of miles. But yeah, and those guys are just awesome. You know, they understand the animals, they understand the terrain. They're really in it for like deeper reasons and for the experience of being out there, and you know, not just a party with maybe a steak at the end. Yeah, that's kind of how my father-in-law is. You know, he's a outdoorsman through and through, and he claims to hate people, but if you get him talking, he's hard to get away from. But he also he would be just as happy not seeing a soul for like weeks at a time, just out there with him and his dogs, and that's how. And those are always kind of like the good hunters, I guess. You know, it's I guess if have what I would classify as a good hunter anyways, but and so like, do you I've heard that have what I would classify I've heard that like you get some really cool tips on those especially like guided hunts, I'm sure, but like like I've heard people they'll guide somebody, and they'll, you know, when they're done, they'll just leave them with a Yeti cooler. Totally. Yeah. Not me so much. Like I said, I'm mostly just on the packing side of it, but my friend who does the little bit of guiding that we do, you know, guys will leave them with like a scope tripod or a freaking scope or you know, a sick backpack or something. Hell yeah. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. That's cool. Yeah. And there are nothing against guys who just want to go on a vacation in the wilderness, you know, for sure. We gotta make money too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some good benefits to it. I'm more, you know, I'm getting to where I'd rather just be like chasing cows for somebody.
Yeah.
You know, even if the pay's less, whatever. That's what I'm trying to do more of.
Yeah. Well, you were saying like you're trying to focus your shows more out in cow country rather than the cities nowadays. And I think that's cool. I mean, you got to pay the bills, and you can probably always find a gig in the city.
Well, you'd be surprised how much less money you make in the cities, you know, coming out to small towns like this. Like, you're not cashing huge checks either, but you know, getting off the beaten path is good. And like,
it was pretty cool when I was passing your donation boot around. You know, I kind of just surveyed the room. I was like, they'll tip. I don't think they will. And, you know, as soon as I walked by somebody and didn't offer the boot, they're like, hey, over here.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
And everybody's, you know, putting a couple bucks in the boot, and you know, made you guys a little extra cash. You know, that's always good. And, you know, like,
totally.
You know, I was want to make sure you guys come away with a good, you know, good experience. So maybe you'll want to come back again, or, you know, spread the word that, you know,
man, we love it out here.
Smith Valley's not a bad place to play a gig. So.
Yeah, we love Nevada, and just like I said, getting out to small towns where people really get what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, and it's cool when you guys played MC Horses, which pretty well everyone on the show knows. I don't think I've featured it as a song yet. I just haven't found the right episode for it yet. But like, everybody knows MC Horses if you're like in the cowboy world. I mean, it's not very well known outside of it, but you saw just about everybody at the bar last night when you started playing. Everybody was singing along with MC Horses, and that's got to be a cool feeling. Just it's awesome. Those are my people, you know. That's when
the pressure's on too.
Yeah, that's like, true.
Everybody there is like, oh, this guy's playing MC Horses.
Yeah,
not everybody, but in your mind, you know, you got those two things. Like, everybody here like, hey, knows and loves this, but also like, don't fuck it up, kid.
Exactly. Yeah, just you know, do it justice. And you guys did. You guys brought it down. It was
cool. Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I was telling you last night, we played the last night of this venue in San Francisco, Amnesia. And it was kind of a big deal, not a big deal venue, but just like a staple, you know, of the music scene there. And I'd played it like 4 years ago, but it was cool. In our 4-song set, we closed it with MC Horses, and it was like this cool moment. I felt like of, you know, we've all got something in common when it comes to like losing something important, and a lot of people in cities are starting to go through some of the same things of that. Like, you know, this is something we've built as a community over time. Like, a music venue isn't open for money. It's open as a part of a community.
Yeah.
And now we're losing though. They're dropping like flies because the rent is too damn high.
Yep.
And people want to take that space and use it for something else to make themselves more money. So it's, you know, it's kind of, that's one of the special things about this part of our work, the music stuff, and getting to travel around and meet so many different kinds of people and play for so many different kinds of audiences, is you get those moments of sharing. Like, look, I'm from the middle of nowhere, and this is a song about a ranch in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of like Cavi and Remuda that you have no idea what they mean, and like a horse named Banjo, and yet like we're all feeling it.
Yeah.
You know, I was like getting pretty emotional on stage and stuff. It's like, I'm sad about this venue closing, and like, this is one of the most powerful songs ever written. So
yeah.
It's just crazy. You know, it's an honor being able to like sing something like that, and just kind of being in that position. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, even on another level, like, I went to Old Yankee Stadium back when I was in high school. You know, the house Ruth built, and you walk through and you see the busts of, you know, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, and, you know, like all the I guess it's bronze busts that they have of them, the sculptures, and you almost get chills walking through there. And I was a huge baseball fan, still am growing up. I've always loved it. And that was, you know, outside of like Fenway and Wrigley, you know, those are big historic institutions, but this was the house that Ruth built, you know. So you like get chills walking through there. And then you hear that they're making a new Yankee Stadium. It's like, how are you going to do away with the house that Ruth built? Like, like everybody, like when you say baseball, everybody thinks Babe Ruth and the Yankees and Yankee Stadium. And you know, you just bulldoze that down and make this other new monstrosity. And you know, it's fancy. It's nice. I'm sure I haven't been to it, but it's like, it's not Yankee Stadium. It's, you know, it's, and so it's, you know, even though I'm an avid Yankee hater, it's just like, you don't want to see that come down, you know. That's part of America. I mean, that's and that's kind of the same way with these big outfits out here, you know, like the MC Horses, same type deal. But you know, you've got like the Wine Cup and the Gamble over in Elko County, which it used to be Wine Cup and the Gamble. Now it's the Wine Cup Gamble, and they're owned by a mine, I believe. And so it's, I mean, they still very much do a cowboy. It's a cowboy outfit, but you know, it's also a corporate outfit too. And it's so it's kind of a strange way that, you know,
it's just like somebody's tax write-off probably.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And I worked on a ranch up in Montana. It was kind of the same way, you know, it was a family owned ranch, but then it got sold to, and I don't know how the ownership was, but you know, I know they had like a board of directors, and you're like, well, you guys are a ranch, you know, like
how can you afford a board of directors?
And they're like, well, you start thinking about it, and you're like, yeah, they probably made a bunch of money on oil or something,
right? Yeah, there's some back corner of the ranch you never go to that an oil company owns.
And the working part of the ranch is not there to make money. It's more of a tax shelter or something. And so you're like, well, I mean, at least they're still keeping the ranch alive, but it's like, it's just not quite the same, you know. It's not nearly as romantic, but I guess, you know, that's cowboy life in general. Everybody makes it out to be kind of a romantic deal,
and it's never as romantic as you want it to be.
No, it's not. And like I said on my little stand-up set last night, you know, at one point I was getting licked by a Jersey heifer, stepped in a pile of cow shit while I'm taking a leak and fall down, and you know, and I'm in full cowboy gear. I got my chinks and my vest and my cowboy hat, and here I am just pissing down my leg into my boot. Well, I guess this is what it means to be a cowboy.
21st century cowboy.
Yeah, and I'm not even dealing with a real cow. I'm dealing with a freaking Jersey heifer dairy cow.
Those were my pets when I was a kid. Yep.
I think that was a pretty good description of them that I did. They're basically just a giant dog. Yeah. They're not really even a cow. I mean, they've got the digestive system of a cow. The flesh is the same, but they're not a cow.
No, they're just pets.
Yeah. They're kind of funny creatures, annoying as hell, but they're comical. I kind of enjoy watching them. They're kind of comical creatures, but
yeah, I always liked the Jerseys growing up. I raised dairy heifers for 4-H.
Oh, okay.
So I had quite a program going, you know. I had like anywhere from 3 to 5 heifers every year that I was working on and training them to show and the state fair and all that. And yeah, the Jerseys were always my favorite.
Yeah. I prefer a Jersey to Holstein, but you know, Holstein big milkers, and that's where the money comes from. But we run some. The way we do is they send us replacement heifers, and we'll breed them, keep them till they're on the 3rd trimester, and we'll ship them back to the home dairy. And then we also run some beef cattle as well, just feedlot stuff. But we have a dairy out of Fallon that raises Jersey and Jersey Cross, and they have probably the best chocolate milk I've ever had in my life.
Hell yeah.
Because it's, you know, real high milk fat, and it's almost like drinking a glass of pudding. It's so thick, but it's so good. Yeah. But to get that type of milk, you've got to deal with Jerseys, and they can be pretty
tough little shits.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're aggravating, but that's what if you want that type of quality of milk, that's what you got to have. So it's crazy how the whole industry comes together. You know, it's crazy how it works. But, so you guys got like another month left of touring, and then you're gonna go packing for the summer.
Well, go doing whatever. Yeah. Whatever I can find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So
yeah, we're getting home just in time to hopefully hit some brandings.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
How's your roping skills?
Nothing to brag about.
No, you're not throwing any hula hands and
I sure throw them.
not catching. I think I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, the first Brandon I went to, and the first head loop I threw a little backhand shot and caught right first. And I was like, yeah, I am a cowboy. And go to the fire, and I usually on those I'm not a great roper, so I always just try to pick up heels. So and so I go in for another head loop, and I'll try that backhand again. Wadded it up, threw it right in the middle of the back. Just I never could hit it again. So I've been working on that backhand shot. I've got decent at it, but yeah, it's really cool, especially like right as they kick things off, and the older guys or the good ropers go out there, and you see these just beautiful loops, and they just like float in.
Yeah.
Just like drop perfectly over that calf's head, and they never even see it coming. So by the time you pull your slack, that calf is just like, what the fuck just happened? And then, they're already riding up, getting short to take them to the fire by the time that thing busts in two and goes to bellering. But, by the time that first jump happens, they hit the end of the rope and up to the fire they go. And
they just bounce all the way into the fire.
Yeah. And there's this guy, Jesus Alito, his old Basco fella, and he still ropes with a riata. And you'll see him just come zipping across the pin and then just float in this little culo shot. And I never see him miss. I never see him hang a leg. It's 2 feet every time.
Yeah.
It's insane watching that. I don't know how he does it, but he just does it all the time. It's all muscle memory at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not a matter of catching. It's a matter of how accurate you're catching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times, especially in like the winter time, I can't rope with gloves to save my life. I've got to go barehanded, which doesn't suit me well because a lot of times I'll burn some rope through my hand and then I really can't rope. But if I have gloves on, I can't feel my slack, so I'll throw a decent loop, but then I can't catch my slack, and I just run through it. And shit. So I sure enjoy it, but I am no roper by any means. It's I like to try, and Brandon season, that's like cowboy Christmas. So,
that's something I definitely always try and get home for.
And see, back home nobody heads and heels unless they're like 500-pound calf, something like that. You'll head and heel that, but everything is just you heel and drag. And so I came out here and everybody heads and heels, and I'm like, man, that sounds like a wreck. And it can be if you got guys that don't know how to rope or don't know how to handle a rope, because anybody can catch. Like anybody can catch. Is what you do once that rope comes tight. And if you got people that don't know how to handle a rope, it can turn into a wreck real quick.
Oh yeah.
But when you see guys that know what they're doing and they've done it, thousands of times, and this guy, Larry Marriott's his name. You never see his horse come out of like a real slow trot in the Brandon pin, and that calf is always just right on his hip, just real short rope, and just bouncing perfect. And he's always riding a pretty big leggy horse, and just kind of a brisk walk to the fire, and it's just perfect heel shot for anybody. If you can throw any sort of heel shot, it's there for you. It sets that calf just perfect. It's like about a 30-degree angle coming off the horn, and it just every time he's like that. And I've tried it, and you get those calves that just want to run, and you're like, well, I can get shorter, or I can just go to the fire at a long trot or a low, and it still makes for if you get somebody to get up there, it makes for an easy heel shot, but also it kind of breaks branding etiquette. You don't want to come out of a trot if you can help it, but that there's some calves that are just that's just how you have to do it. It just seems like Larry never gets those calves, or he has some way of whispering them that they just slowly kind of bounce. And there's an art to it. It's totally.
I like how much horsemanship is in especially the heading and heeling. When you gotta I love having a calf on that, having a neck on a calf and just being able to work them a bit and shortening up and letting them kind of take a breather and then just go straight to the fire.
Yep.
And if nobody gets it, and you just work them back, it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. It
really gets your horse tuned up too, because your horse starts watching that calf and knowing what they're going to do and what they got to do. So.
And you can tell after about 5-10 head of calves, like you can tell if your horse has got a lot of instinct or not, because they pick it up, and then when they figure out, especially on a green horse, and they're like, oh, this is what we're doing. And like the good ones are like, okay, so how does this work? And so they're always like, you can almost feel when they're like, all right, I know what I'm doing now. They kind of relax, and then it's, it's just money after that. And that's a cool feeling. Like when, your horse is just kind of big exhale, just, and, they're like, all right, let's go. And that's always a pretty cool feeling. And then when you're on a green horse, it's a lot of work but it makes you appreciate a really good horse. I've got a 12-year-old mare named Clara, who is just hands down best horse I've ever owned. And I went to we pulled a calf the other day that looked like he had a stick shoved through his gum or something, and rather than take him to the chute, I wanted to see like if it was infected or whatnot, what the deal was. So I was riding this older team roping horse, and he's a typical arena horse, just chomping all the time, just go, go, go. And I've got this calf just kind of cornered, and all I wanted to do was just throw a little backhand, lay him down, see what was going on. And this stupid bastard, just every time I go to swing, he's wanting to run off. And then I had a similar situation. I don't remember what I needed to rope this calf for, but I get on my good horse, and she just stands there, and she'll step over, make sure that calf stays where I want to, or I can just float a loop in, and it just makes your job so much easier. And then like you ride a good horse all day, you get done, you still got some energy to go do something. You ride a colt all day, like you're wore out. Yeah. Like your forearms are burning. Yeah. Your legs are tired, especially in the feedlot, because you're working gates all day long. So you're just pounding on their side, and so you're like, your quads are burning, your arms are burning, and you're just wore out.
Your brain's hurting from trying to figure out what the hell they're going to think they got to do next.
And if you're working with Holsteins, you're screaming at the top of your lungs just to get them to take a step. So your voice hurts, everything hurts. And it's just, there's a reason I got a whole lot of gray hair at 34 years old.
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a lifestyle, and I don't know if I'd ever trade it. I plan on making a bunch of money off this podcast deal, but until then, I still got to punch cows. And then
that's what I'm here for. Help you make the big bucks.
There you go.
Yeah, just take advice from me. I know how to do it.
Right over the top.
Yep.
So that's the plan. And then even when I do, it'll just be so I can have enough money to run my own cows and not worry about going broke.
Yeah, lose your own money instead of somebody else's.
That's right. I've found out that I'm just not that good of an employee. Like I work hard and whatnot, but I got just as soon be working for myself. But they, it's a cool lifestyle. I think the troubadour lifestyle, it's different than the cowboy lifestyle. It's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of overlap, and it kind of, cowboys, traditionally have always kind of drifted from place to place. They've always been pretty independent minded. Yeah. It's just it's a different type of mentality. Especially
we're kind of getting passed over with the times too. It's like I'm not very good at picking careers. I picked two, and neither of them is on the way up. It's like we've got, every day there's another app that's trying to put us out of business or whatever.
Yeah, so and it's funny is with social media and everything, like the world has got a lot smaller. It seems like, but then when you actually get off the internet and go out into the world, it's still a big world out there, and I think there's a lot of opportunities. But they've been saying the cowboy was a dying breed since the cowboy was invented. So there's still a lot of cowboys out there. So I think there's some truth to it that it is a dying breed, but it's always been a dying breed, and I think it always will be.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's so much the industry as it's the type of people. They're not very common. You know, they're a lot of people just go along to get along, just to kind of coast through life, and that's not really what cowboying is, and it's not an easy life.
No, and it's not easy to find either. You know, you're not just gonna. Well, I don't know. Not in my experience anyway. It's not easy to just kind of stumble into a horseback job without really actively trying or spending your whole life working into it. You know?
It's it's a very specific set of skills, and you know, I guess to put it real plainly, you are trying to manipulate 1,000, 2,000 pound animal to your will by using another 1,000 to 1,500 pound animal to steer the other animal, and so you're almost working against the laws of physics to do so, and so it's a very unique skill set that you have to have, and a different type of mindset to do it. I mean, because it's not, you know, if you give up, quit trying, those animals die or they kill you. Yeah. And so it's not for somebody that quits easy. And I don't know, you kind of have to have an independent streak about you to be successful, and being successful as a cowboy. Not sure exactly what that means.
I think it just means surviving.
I think so, because it ain't making,
living the cowboy another day.
It ain't making money, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Any cowboy you know that's got a lot of money, he got that money somewhere else. It wasn't from cowboying.
Yeah.
Unless you're a rodeo star, but then that's a different type of cowboying altogether. So
yeah,
it's I don't know. It's a weird lifestyle, but I like it, and I like hearing how people get into it, and a lot of it is just kind of restless, kind of bored with what you're doing. It seems, especially the people that weren't like born into it, people that kind of find their way into it. Like take Ramblin' Jack for instance. He was bored,
run away from home.
Yeah, Ramblin' Jack. I mean, you'd be crazy not to call him a cowboy, but he was born and raised in Brooklyn, and but he was bored and he liked to ramble, like, you know, speaking and traveling, you know. But it's like those type of people, they may not have the unique skill set that Ramblin' Jack has. I mean, you'll never find another one of those, but
yeah, no kidding.
But they're all have that same type of mentality. It just, I guess the independent part comes is, you know, you when you're in the cowboy world, you hear very quickly which is a good outfit to work for, which one isn't, and because a lot of times, you know, you piss one of your cowhands off, they'll just say, all right, fuck you, load up and on to the next place. And I don't know how many times I've seen that happen. And you'll talk to those guys like they really didn't even say anything bad to you. They pissed me off, and that's it. So you just load up your horse and your tack and adios.
Yeah,
and
on to the next one.
Yeah, and so it's to manage people like that, you gotta have a serious set of people skills to manage, because there's a lot of ego involved. Yeah, and a lot of. I think I was telling Waddy Mitchell. It seems like one of the reasons cowboys are good storytellers, because there's a lot of one-upsmanship when you're telling any cowboy stories. Well, like, well, that's nothing, let me tell you about this. Yeah. And of course he went off on a tangent about how they come from out of the Victorian era, and so they have a, you know, colorful use of wordage, which is probably true in and of itself. But I think at the very like human, you know, instinct level, it's just we're a bunch of overgrown kids trying to show each other up, and that's I mean, that's how rodeo started. It was like, no, I can ride this horse better than you. Well, okay, well, I can tie this calf down faster than you. Well, and then some crazy bastard's like, well, I'm going to get on that bull and I'm going to ride him. And, you know, and that's how cowboys are. It's always a competition, and it's it's a pissing contest turned into an entire industry, basically. And I don't know. It's just there's something about that mentality. It's a little bit independent, very competitive, really stubborn type of person, and but it's a hell of a life. I sure love it.
Me too.
Yeah. So what's next? You got a tour. You're playing Tahoe tonight, Virginia City with Jake Houston and the Royal Flush.
Yep, on tomorrow night, and then we're in Truckee for a couple nights, and then we've got a few days off. Oh, we're in Grass Valley on Sunday, and then got a few nights off, and then we're basically just going up the West Coast for another 3 weeks up to the Northwest, and then we wrap up at Treefort Music Festival in Boise.
Nice.
And after that, hopefully we can get everything sorted out and cleaned up after tour to where I can go find my horses again and get them tuned up for branding season.
Cool.
Yeah.
You writing any new songs?
Hell no.
No?
Too busy.
Too busy. That's funny.
Yeah, the last song I wrote was like over a year ago now.
Really?
But yeah, I kind of work like that for songwriting, especially. It's like my last record, Obrander Donder Yonder. That one, I had some of the ideas were kind of older, but the meat of the record was done within like an 8-month period, kind of.
Okay.
I do a lot of journal keeping. Okay. And that stuff's pretty sparse and poetic. When I'm doing like poetry in Elko or wherever, it's really just kind of dressed up journal entries.
Yeah.
So different, like, logs of which horses I was riding that day or where we went, or, just kind of very cut and dry summaries of the work to kind of keep it figured out in my brain.
Makes sense.
So I have that to go pull from.
Yeah, I should start doing that. I take a lot of phone notes, but it's usually like stuff that I think I could make funny for a podcast. Yeah. A lot of dick jokes. I mean, that's kind of my staple.
Yeah, that's tried and true.
Yeah, it works. People laugh, but I should start doing that. Keeping a journal, I guess. I've thought about trying to dabble into the poetry type deal. I've got some musical ability, but I can play several chords on a guitar. I can sing decent enough. I can't do both at the same time. I've got to play guitar more, so it just becomes more second nature. So I can start singing. But especially if I want to get into this cowboy poetry deal, I probably better figure out some sort of musical aspect to it instead of just like, here's a song that I like that somebody else wrote.
Yeah.
But no, it's man, it's been good having you guys here. The show was excellent. It was
fun getting to hang out in like a real house, kids running around.
Yeah, you got
we're kind of living in grown-up land most of the time. Or, a bunch of folks our age who are too broke to have kids or too busy doing whatever to have kids. So it's fun getting to see the little ones again.
Yeah, I think Margot made a bass player out of Sophia last night. She was she was air jamming hard. So I think,
front row.
Mm-hmm. She made a pretty big impact on that little gal. So
that's good.
Yeah, she's gonna be musically inclined for a long time. So I just gotta steer her energy in towards that way. She's got a whole lot of energy. So she's been running these guys ragged all day. So
chasing us with a shovel.
Yeah, she's
snowballs.
She's a wild woman. I appreciate your time, man. It was a lot of fun. We'll do it again.
Yeah, man.
Next time you guys are through, we figured out we can sell out the CG bar, so we're gonna start.
We're moving up in the world.
Yeah, we can. We're gonna try to do some more of that, and that was one of the cool things that I heard a lot last night. Is they're like, we used to do this at the bar all the time. They played live music a lot, and then like it just stopped. The guy that started it was a hell of a good time. I guess he was a good guy to party with, and he liked having a good time. So he'd have music all the time. And then he passed away, and somebody else bought it, and then I think that place has burned down a couple different times, and then the guy Juan, the guy that bought it, he's made a pretty concerted effort to get people back in there. But,
he seems like having a good time.
Yeah. And the first step of, having a good crowd at the bar is make sure your bar's open. and he does he does a good job of that. And I think he was a little hesitant when I asked him about doing this show, but I said, hey man, if you feed the band, I'll take care of the rest. We'll and he said, okay. And he said, well, let's do it again. He said, I'm all about it now.
All right.
So
that's good.
We got a venue for anybody who might be rolling through Western Nevada. We can get a few people to listen to your stuff. So we're gonna try that going forward. And can I get you in on the Burnin Daylight meetup at Cowboy Poetry next year?
Oh, hell yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
So we got 3 gigs or three bands lined up for now. We just got to find a place. So
there you go.
It'd be Sam McHugh. He's my buddy I was telling you from Coeur d'Alene. If you guys are up there, you have to look him up. He's a hell of a musician. He's a songwriter. He's trying to find his spot within country music. He's a big like 90s country type guy.
Hell yeah.
And he's finding out that the Nashville scene, that they don't even like that type of music anymore.
No, they don't like anything but the butt country they invented.
That's exactly right. So he's searching for a place to play his, or a genre to put his music in. And so, well, you might look into some of this cowboy stuff. He does a lot of backcountry fly fishing. Like he'll pack in and so he's got some experience with horses, and so you don't necessarily have to be a cow puncher to live that horseback lifestyle. And so he's finding his own, but he's in the meantime he's a hell of a guitar player, hell of a singer. And then of course Jake Houston, he's got a hell of a honky tonk record out.
It's great.
It's really pretty cool.
We listen to it a lot in the shoeing shed.
Yeah. It's
good horseshoeing record.
Hell yeah. He's it's funny, I had him on my show and I didn't really even know that he played. And then he also has the best Instagram handle of all time, Conway Shootin.
I don't know how he got that.
Yeah, Conway Shootin.
He's gonna sell that someday and make a lot of money.
I know it. And then he just kind of offhand mentioned, like, well, I play some music here and there, and then I listened to his record. I was like, well, shit, man, it's pretty good too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man, he's a ripper.
Yeah. So, and he also pretty talented leather guy too. So
I'm just saving up for a pair of custom boots.
I know he's been telling me he's going to build me a pair. And so I got to figure out how to pay you too. So
everybody go out and buy my record so I can get a pair of boots.
Yeah.
All the money goes to Jake Houston.
There you go. So buy Forrest record so he can give it to Jake. I don't know what Jake's going to do with it. That's whatever. But go buy his record. Where can they find you on social media and all that?
All of my handles are American Forrest with 2 R's. That's Instagram, Facebook. I believe there's a Twitter account that I never use because I don't need to be a part of whatever nuclear war is getting started on there. And then I don't know, whatever else. Spotify, it's An American Forrest.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll put all the links when probably put this episode publish it as a podcast on Friday. And so in the notes, you'll have all the website, everything. So
Bandcamp to buy, to pay actual money for the music.
Cool.
Yeah. That's it's good to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Spotify is great, but yeah, if you really want to support your favorite artist, go buy an album, buy some merch. I use Spotify extensively, but yeah, if I find somebody that I like, I want to support, buy the album. It's not that much.
Yeah, the amount that I get from like the combined digital distributors, so like Spotify, Apple Play, whatever the hell else they have invented now, all those little fractions of a cent, when I get that check at the end of the month, it's usually equal to about 1 actual record.
Oh shit.
So, you guys do the math.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're trying to make money or anything, but the price of burritos isn't going down.
No, it's not. So, yeah, go buy the album, go check him out, follow him on all the social media. And if they're coming to a town near you, go check them out. You won't be disappointed. So
yeah, hopefully.
All right. Well, Forrest, I always end my podcast with "Move Your Ass, We're Burning Daylight." So let you sign us off.
Move your ass, we're burning daylight.
All right. Thanks, man.
Hey, thank you.
And we're